Legend says this village has flower brides. They say they exude a sweet fragrance, and their tears can make flowers fall from the sky. Once chosen by the mountain god, they die within 7 days and are carried into a cave in a wedding dress. And this time, the bride who has been chosen is my best friend Maya. Take that, you demon! You can't escape. The mountain scenery was gorgeous, with narrow paths lined by unknown plants and vibrant flowers. But I was in no mood to enjoy the view. My apprentice, Chloe, was too busy frantically swinging a stick, slashing and stabbing at the empty air. My friend Maya looked just as worried. She stood to the side, arms crossed, her brow furrowed. When do you think Chloe got hexed? That was my biggest worry. My name is Leah, and I'm a disciple of the esoteric branch of a secret order of exorcists. From its inception, our order split into 2 factions. The public-facing branch opened temples, took on tons of students, and became a well-known spiritual sanctuary. The esoteric branch, however, stayed hidden in the mountains, its knowledge passed down directly from master to chosen student. The public branch mainly performs ceremonies, draws talismans, and tells fortunes. The esoteric branch is responsible for vanquishing demons, catching ghosts, and driving out evil spirits. I've been learning to draw talismans and bust ghosts since I was 4, yet I couldn't for the life of me figure out when Chloe had been hexed. Every art has its masters, and the hex clans have their own secrets, but I still had a solid grasp of the basics. We had been so careful the whole way, even wearing charms to repel hex bugs. So how on earth did Chloe get cursed? It's a madness hex, Maya explained seriously to her friend Kevin, who was nodding along. The victim acts like a lunatic, laughing 1 minute, cursing the next, until they literally work themselves to death. Maya, you know so much, Kevin said. But for us regular people who don't know anything about hexes, how can we tell if someone's been cursed or is just having a psychotic break? Maya pulled a hard-boiled egg out of her bag, peeled it, and handed it to Kevin. Roll this on Chloe's face. If she's been hexed, the egg white will turn black. I rolled my eyes, speechless. Chloe was in the middle of a curse, and Maya was giving Kevin a science lesson? The whole reason we were in this godforsaken forest looking for the Blackwood clan was because of Maya. Maya is the last living celestial master, and also my friend. In ancient times, celestial master was a general term for feng shui practitioners, but it later came to refer specifically to masters who could read the stars. There's an old saying, a first-rate master reads the stars, a second-rate one finds the water's source, and a third-rate hack just wanders the earth. Most of the practitioners you see these days are just your average feng shui consultants. The only true heir to the tradition of the royal astronomers, who could read fortunes in the stars and the winds, is Maya's family. She used every trick in the book to drag me out here on a hunt for the Goo King, the supreme hex master. And the only reason I let her drag me here was because I needed her to accompany me to a very dangerous place of my own. The egg will turn black within a minute. Watch closely, Maya said, wiping sweat from her brow after wrestling with Chloe. She and Kevin backed away. Chloe threw her stick down and started performing some kind of insane kung fu routine on the air. The mountain air was cool, and she was only wearing a thin long-sleeved shirt, but beads of sweat dotted her forehead. Her face was unnaturally flushed, like she was drunk. This minute is feeling a little long, Kevin said, holding up the egg and looking hesitantly at Maya. The color drained from Maya's face. Leah, get over here. I stared at the pristine, jade-white egg in Kevin's hand, and my heart sank. This hex was so powerful that even the egg test didn't work? Maya, hurry up and stick her. I wrapped my arms around a struggling Chloe while Maya took out a silver needle, pricked her index finger, and squeezed out a large drop of blood. After a moment, she shook her head, her expression grim. The blood isn't floating. The test is negative. The blood of a hexed person won't dissolve in water, it floats on the surface like oil. But half of Chloe's blood dissipated in the water, and the other half sank to the bottom, just like a normal person's. Maya and I squatted on the ground, frowning. She gently swirled the bloody water in the bowl. The Blackwood clan has always been sinister. In other clans, only women learn hex magic, but in the Blackwood clan, only men can. I knew they were powerful, but I never imagined this. I looked up at Chloe, who was now doing some slow motion exercises, and my anxiety grew. She's burning through her energy. I have to knock her out. Leah, do you think it's possible that Chloe? Kevin started to say something, but I had already sprung up and chopped the back of Chloe's neck. She went limp and collapsed. I picked her up, laid her on a soft patch of grass, and then turned to Kevin. Possible what? Kevin stared at me dumbfounded. After a long pause, he scratched his head, squeezed his eyes shut, and blurted it out. Is it possible she has mushroom poisoning? At lunch, you three devoured that whole plate of mushrooms. You two are tough and it didn't affect you, but Chloe isn't as strong. I looked up those mushrooms. If they're not cooked properly, they can cause poisoning. After his rapid-fire explanation, Kevin looked at us nervously. Maya and I glanced at each other. A moment later, we both saw the murderous intent in the other's eyes. I leaped up, threw Chloe over my shoulder, and started sprinting down the mountain. Maya, take care of the witness. Maya stood up and sighed at Kevin. Kevin, you know too much. Don't blame me. I'm doing this for the honor of my family and Leah's order. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Maya, are you serious? Kevin yelped as he dodged her attacks, while Maya chased after him, brandishing a stick. Damn it, why didn't you say so earlier? As I bolted down the rugged path with Chloe on my back, I heard Maya and Kevin's chaotic shouts behind me and felt like crying. Ugh, this is so humiliating. Chloe, you're awake. Chloe groggily opened her eyes, momentarily confused by the crisp white sheets. Why am I in a hospital? Maya pushed Kevin aside and rushed to explain. You got mushroom poisoning. The doctors pumped your stomach and put you on N4. You're fine now. I helped Chloe sit up and handed her a glass of warm water. Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere else? Our concern clearly touched Chloe. She shook her head. I feel fine. It's just my neck and my finger hurt a little. Pfft. Kevin couldn't hold it in. Before a laugh could escape, Maya grabbed him by the collar and shoved him out the door. I stood up, my face stern. If you're okay, let's get going. We've already wasted a day. The rest of the journey was uneventful. After 3 days of hiking, we finally arrived at a small mountain village. The houses were all built on stilts, and a wooden archway stood at the entrance. The archway was carved with various venomous creatures, so lifelike that the black-backed centipede looked like it was about to crawl away. Seeing the archway, Maya's face lit up. We're here. A chubby little boy chewing on his finger emerged from behind the archway. He stared at us with wide, round eyes. Who are you? The boy couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. His skin was a bit tan, but with his big eyes and thick brows, he was adorable. His hair was funny too, a single tuft on his forehead tied into a topknot with a red string. Chloe knelt down, gently touched his little topknot, and pulled a chocolate bar from her pocket. You're so cute, little guy. Here, have some chocolate. The boy stared blankly up at Chloe, and then his face crumpled. He burst into tears. He ran back toward the village, wailing, his voice filled with terror. A woman touched my sacred soul lock. I'm going to die. The 4 of us stared at each other, then turned to glare at Chloe. She looked aggrieved. I just thought he was cute. A group of men quickly rushed out of the village. The leader was a young man who looked about 18 or 19, tall and handsome, with a strong resemblance to the little boy. The mountain air was chilly, but he wore only a short-sleeved shirt, revealing muscular, sun-kissed arms. Little brother, was it this woman who touched your soul lock? The boy nodded, tears in his eyes. Brother, am I going to die now? I suddenly recalled a taboo among certain mountain tribes. The small braid on a man's head is called a soul lock. They believe it's where a man's spirit resides, sacred and inviolable. It must never be touched by anyone. Violators must offer a sacrifice of livestock and wine as an apology. In the old days, a low-status offender could even have their arm cut off or be executed. If a woman touched the soul lock, the man would be cursed with bad luck for life, and the braid would have to be shaved off. But aren't these the hex masters we're looking for? The young man stared menacingly at Chloe. According to our rules, you have to give your hand to my brother as compensation. Chloe held up her right hand in shock. What do you mean? I have to have my hand chopped off for touching his hair. The man nodded impatiently. We burn the hand to ash and rub it on my brother's head. Only then can the soul lock be purified. Enough talk. Someone cut off her hand. Wait. I stepped in front of Chloe, holding out my arm and looking the young man squarely in the eye. Actually, she's a man. According to the rules, can't we just pay a fine? Leo, she's treating us like idiots. One of his companions sneered. So the leader's name was Leo. Hearing his friend, he snorted. Fine. You say she's a man? Prove it. Chloe rolled her eyes, pushed me aside, and stood tall, meeting Leo's murderous gaze. I am who I am. It was my fault for touching your brother's head, and I'm willing to pay. But cutting off my hand is out of the question. Leo looked down at Chloe, a cruel smile playing on his lips. Looks like you're choosing the hard way. Just then, a boy of about 16 or 17 ran up, panting. Leo, the high priest wants you to bring these outsiders to him. Leo's eyebrows shot up in surprise. He gave his men a look. Take them. Let's go. One of the men immediately jabbed me with the hilt of his knife. I sidestepped and glared at Leo. Don't touch me. We can walk on our own. We had barely taken 2 steps when Leo's frown returned, and he yelled. Hold on. He pointed his long knife at Kevin. You walk in front. How can a woman walk ahead of a man? You 3, get back and let him go first. Swish. Maya, Chloe, and I all spun around to stare at Kevin. He gave us an awkward look, then lowered his head and pretended to be invisible. Chloe and Maya were about to explode, but the key to finding the Goo King was with this clan, so we had to bite our tongues. Kevin walked ahead, his neck hunched. Just as we were about to follow, Leo stopped us again. He held his knife across my chest, his eyes filled with contempt. I've never seen such ill-mannered women. Women can only walk on the far side of the path. The middle is for men. Grind, grind, grind. Maya and Chloe were gritting their teeth so hard it made a sound. Kevin looked like he was about to cry. Bro, please let me walk on the side. I love walking on the side. I'm begging you. Leo was disgusted by Kevin's cowardice. All along the way, he lectured Kevin, saying that women were inherently inferior and carried bad luck. He said that only by keeping them in their place could a man protect his own fortune. He also said that a spineless man like Kevin would be despised in their village. I was fuming. Maya and Chloe looked like they were about to pass out from rage. Halfway there, some villagers saw us and their faces paled. One skinny, white-haired old man shouted at Leo. Leo, we're digging a well. How dare you bring women past here? Stop. Leo backed away in regret, bowed to the old man, and apologized profusely. Uncle, I wasn't thinking. I'll take them another way. Kevin looked at the old man curiously and asked, Women can't walk by when you're digging a well? The villagers looked at him, stunned. The old man glared. Women are bad luck. If they see a well being dug, it won't produce water. Don't you outsiders even know that? Snap. Something in my brain broke. I couldn't take it anymore. I leaped up and slapped the old man right on the top of his head. Bad luck my ass. Maya kicked a man next to her to the ground and yelled to Chloe. Chloe, today we're slapping every single soul lock in this village. Kevin's face went white. He stood to the side, slapping his own face in regret. Should have kept your mouth shut. Should have kept your mouth shut. After I slapped him, the old man stood frozen on the spot as if struck by lightning. Everyone else was stunned by the sudden turn of events and didn't react for a long moment. Seizing the opportunity, I moved like a blur, my hands a flurry of motion as I weaved through the crowd like a dragon. Smack. Smack. Smack, smack, smack. Maya and Chloe were just as relentless. Maya, in particular, had been bottling up her anger, and her explosive release was like an untamed beast set loose. You're the bad luck. You're the inferior one. You're the lowly one. Chloe shouted as she slapped, cursing with each hit, her face flushed with excitement. Her symptoms were about 70% similar to her mushroom poisoning. Ladies, please, I beg you, call off your divine powers. Kevin tried to intervene from the sidelines, but after I shoved him and made him stumble, he just clasped his hands, raised them above his head, and bowed frantically. These Blackwood clan guys looked big and tough, but they didn't seem too bright. Every person we slapped just froze in place as if their pressure points had been hit, making it ridiculously easy. Smack. For the final hit, I had to jump off a rock. Leo was so tall, I'd guess at least 6'3". After slapping everyone in the circle, I pulled back, satisfied and refreshed. They say women shouldn't hold in their anger. Take a step back and you get breast lumps. Hold it in and you get ovarian cysts. So true. After I slapped Leo, he too froze like the others. He dazedly touched the top of his head, then stared blankly at his own huge hands. After a long pause, Leo suddenly raised his curved blade, dropped to his knees with a thud, and cried out in a desperate, mournful voice. This is a monumental disgrace. It can only be cleansed with blood. Oh no. They're getting serious. Maya and I locked eyes and instantly went back to back in a defensive stance, shielding Chloe and Kevin between us. The blades of their knives were extremely thin and glinted with a cold light. You could tell they were sharpened. We had definitely been impulsive, and now we were about to face a brutal fight. Leo shouted, raised his blade high, and then swung it down hard, at his own neck. Wait, that's not right. Leo moved too fast. I didn't have time to think. I just lunged, knocked the blade away, and held him in a death grip. Don't do it. Chloe and Maya stood on the sidelines, their eyes practically popping out of their heads. After Leo started, a chorus of male voices rose up around us. This shame can only be cleansed with blood. What the hell? Are they crazy? What is wrong with this Blackwood clan? They're not just like the mountain tribes, they're like something out of feudal Japan. Why do they try to slit their own throats at the drop of a hat? My earlier satisfaction was now replaced with an equal amount of regret. There were at least 20 of them surrounding us. Even if I had 8 arms, I couldn't save them all. Just in the nick of time, Maya pulled a small bronze bell from her pocket. She shook it hard, her voice sharp and urgent. By heaven and earth, bind the soul and trap the spirit. Capture. Clang. I felt my own spirit freeze, my mind going blank for a second. If it affected me that much, the others were even worse off. They swayed like they were drunk, and the knives naturally slipped from their hands. I breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took the opportunity to snatch all the knives and toss them aside. After a while, Leo and the others slowly regained their senses. He knelt on the ground, dazedly clenching his empty fists, then looked up at me with a blank expression. I gave him a sheepish smile. Hey, about what just happened, I'm really sorry. Seriously, I apologize. Leo's face shifted through shades of red and green like a traffic light. After a moment, he leaped up and bolted toward a nearby wooden bridge. The village was perched high on the mountain, with a suspension bridge crossing over a gorge filled with raging rapids and jagged rocks below. If Leo took a dive, he was a goner for sure. I jumped and tackled him around the waist. The guy was built like a bull. I barely held on. Okay, it's all my fault. Dude, we can talk about this. In all my years as an exorcist, traveling far and wide, when had I ever been this subservient? Maya and Chloe came forward with pained expressions, each grabbing one of Leo's arms. Kevin dropped to his knees and hugged Leo's legs. We were wrong. Sir, master, ancestor. Please don't jump. It was all our fault, every last bit of it. Our current begging was as pathetic as our earlier slapping had been badass. Leo struggled wildly. We held on for dear life. Let me go. Leo versus the 4 of us turned into a tug of war. The stunned onlookers finally snapped out of it, and the dark-skinned teenager who had been with Leo let out a yell, and also charged for the bridge. I was about to cry. I had to let go of Leo and tackle the teenager to the ground. I held him down and yelled at Maya. What are you waiting for? Use the soul trap bell. Maya's face was beet red. I don't know what Leo ate to get so strong, but he was like an ox. Once I let go, all the pressure of holding him back fell on her. Chloe and Kevin were just normal people with limited strength. Maya gritted her teeth, straining to hold Leo back. The veins on her forehead bulged from the effort. I'm trying, but I can't get a hand free. Just as I watched another man get ready to jump, a deep, aged voice boomed from behind us. Everyone stop. At the sound of the voice, Leo instantly stopped struggling. He looked at the old man with a wounded expression, his eyes red-rimmed. High priest, I have failed you. I have brought such shame upon our people. So this old man was the high priest? I let go of the teenager and studied him. He was small and slender with dark skin and a face full of wrinkles, looking utterly unremarkable. But his eyes were as deep as a bottomless pool, making it hard to meet his gaze. Lock these three in the black cell for now. I have my own use for them. We exchanged glances and obediently followed the high priest. We didn't dare resist. These Blackwood clan people were terrifying. This shame can only be cleansed with blood. Who would have thought they meant their own blood, not their enemies? The so-called black cell was built on the northernmost edge of the village. Unlike the other stilt houses in the village, this wooden hut was black. It was a square building with no windows, only a single very narrow door. We were shoved inside, only to find a massive pit dug in the center of the room. The pit was teeming with snakes, insects, rats, and ants. In the middle, a mass of colorful snakes was coiled into a huge ball. These venomous creatures crawled all over each other in a dense crowd. Yet they never attacked one another. The pit of venomous creatures was in the middle of the room, and the narrow ledge around it had no railing. It was only wide enough for one person to stand, maybe 1.5 feet at most. In each of the four corners of the hut, a wooden plank was nailed to the wall, holding a burning white candle. In the dim candlelight, the carapaces of the creatures in the pit reflected a faint blue glow, a clear sign of potent venom. No wonder they called it the black cell. What a vicious place. If you got tired and fell asleep, one careless turn in the night, and you'd fall right into the pit. The high priest gave us a chilling look. In 3 days, we will use them to sacrifice to the Goo King. The door was locked. I sat on the ledge, my legs dangling over the pit, swinging back and forth. Maya sat down next to me. She tapped the wall, her eyes filled with awe. Is this gravewood? Oh my God, how much gravewood did it take to build this? Gravewood is a very special type of timber that only grows in mass graves and on burial mounds. After absorbing the deathly energy of the deceased for years, the inner layers of the wood gradually turn black. Gravewood grows incredibly slowly, only an inch every 10 years. The older the gravewood, the darker its color. And high-quality gravewood has always been the best container for the Hex clans to keep their creatures in. Creatures raised in gravewood not only become more venomous, but also stay healthier and more vigorous. Maya's eyes gleamed as she tapped the wall, looking like she wanted to chop off a piece and stuff it in her pocket. All right, wipe your drool. The high priest just said he's going to sacrifice us to the Goo King. Is that the one you're looking for? I asked, inching away from her, afraid she'd get spit on me. Maya scratched her head. That can't be right. I heard the Goo King is hidden on a mountain of insects, 7 peaks away from the Blackwood village, and it's been dormant for 1,000 years. It shouldn't be here. What did you say? I shrieked, my voice cracking. 7 peaks away? And dormant for 1,000 years? Maya, you better explain yourself right now. Maya flinched and ducked her head, desperately signaling to Kevin. Kevin immediately pulled a handful of beef jerky and chocolate from his pocket. Everyone must be hungry. Have something to eat and get your strength back. I grumbled as I snatched the jerky from his hand, chewing furiously while glaring at Maya. That damn liar. She said we were just coming to the Blackwood clan to grab one of their hex bugs, and then we could leave. 1,000-year-old dormant Goo King, the few of us wouldn't even be an appetizer. Oh, come on. Leah. We're already here. Just say I owe you one, okay? Maya pleaded and cajoled for a long time before I finally pretended to reluctantly agree. Heh, I was just wondering how to trick Maya into coming to Japan with me. And just like that, a pillow appears when you're sleepy. A tiny black cell like this was obviously not going to hold us. After eating and resting for a bit, I peeked through the crack in the door and saw that the sky was pitch black. By the ancient powers, I command you break. Click. The lock broke with a crisp snap. Under the cover of darkness, Maya and I slipped into the village, while Chloe and Kevin stayed behind in the cell to cover for us. The mountain village was eerily silent at night. Maybe because of all the hex bugs they kept. You couldn't even hear the chirp of insects or the call of birds. The whole village was frighteningly quiet. Most houses were dark, standing like black voids that melted into the night. After circling the village to get our bearings, Maya and I slipped into the brightest house. I don't believe it. Why her? I don't agree. Maya and I exchanged a look and quickly ducked down to peer inside. Standing next to Leo was the familiar dark-skinned teenager. He looked at Leo with hopeful eyes. Brother Leo, my parents have been gone since I was 7. My sister raised me all by herself, acting as both a mother and a father. She's the only family I have left. I can't just watch her die. Leo patted the boy's shoulder comfortingly, then turned back to vent his anger at the middle-aged man in the room. Dad, Evan only has one sister. Why choose her to be a flower bride? So the boy's name was Evan. He dropped to his knees with a thud and kowtowed several times, hitting the floor so hard his forehead quickly became red and swollen. Chief, I'm begging you. So Leo was the chief's son. No wonder he was so arrogant. The chief remained unmoved, sitting quietly without even lifting an eyelid. Evan, it's no use begging me. The flower bride is chosen by the mountain god, not by me. Dad. Chief. The dark, sturdy, square-faced man sighed and sat up. This is Rose's fate. It's her good fortune to marry the mountain god. All right, I'm tired. You may leave. Evan was on the verge of tears. He clenched his fists, his eyes red, and was about to say more, but Leo pulled him away. Leo gave Evan a meaningful look. The two of them, holding torches, walked all the way to the door of our black cell. The lock was just loosely latched. A light touch from Leo would make it fall off. I grew anxious. Maya had her soul trap bell out, ready to stun them so we could slip back into the cell. Evan, for this I'm sorry. But Leo and Evan didn't go inside. Instead, they sat on the steps with their backs to the door. Leo sighed, burying his head in his knees. His voice was muffled. Last week, I overheard the high priest talking to my dad. They were discussing which girl would be suitable. One girl, Lila, has 4 brothers and a wealthy family. Another, Chol, her father is the second in command in the village. Only Rose, an orphan with no parents, was the most suitable. I didn't understand what they were talking about at the time. But the next day, the high priest announced that Rose had been chosen by the mountain god to be the next flower bride. Hearing this, Evan slammed his fist against the railing. I knew it. The flower bride is chosen by the high priest, not the mountain god. Last year, Nina's father publicly contradicted the high priest at a clan meeting. And guess what? That year's flower bride was Nina. He paced back and forth like a caged animal before slumping to the ground and slapping himself hard across the face. My sister has already stopped eating and drinking tonight. And she started to give off a strange floral scent. If the flower bride is chosen by the high priest, he must have done something to my sister. The customs of this Blackwood clan were truly bizarre, a fusion of several different minority cultures. Here, a flower bride was chosen every year. Legend said the bride was personally selected by the mountain god. The chosen girl would emit an intoxicating floral scent. After being chosen, the girl would stop eating, drinking, and sleeping. She would just sit in front of a mirror all day, combing her hair like a puppet. They died within 7 days, a smile on their face as beautiful flowers bloomed from their bodies. The girl's family had to dress her in a wedding gown, and then her father would carry her on his back and personally deliver her to the cave designated by the mountain god. Leo and Evan, 2 clueless guys, debated at the door for ages but came up with no solution. Maya and I were about to fall asleep when Leo finally stood up and patted Evan's shoulder. Evan, don't worry. Your sister is my sister. I won't let Rose die like this. The two of them finally left. Maya and I followed Evan back to his house. Evan's home was clearly much simpler than Leo's. There was only 1 table and 2 wooden chairs inside. On the table was a mirror, and sitting in front of it was a very beautiful girl. She had a heart-shaped face and large, round eyes. Her sun-kissed skin couldn't hide her stunning features. She held a wooden comb, slowly and methodically combing her hair. Her eyes were vacant, her movements mechanical, her whole body as stiff as a robot. I stared at her in astonishment. After a moment, I came to my senses and blinked at Maya. This flower bride, her soul was missing. A person has 3 spiritual souls and 7 mortal souls. Rose's 7 mortal souls were still there, but her 3 spiritual souls were gone. The spiritual souls govern the mind, while the mortal souls govern the body. Without the spiritual souls, one becomes a mindless, unfeeling zombie. Evan looked at his sister, heartbroken. He reached out and touched her face. "Sis, please say something to me." Rose was completely unaffected, continuing to comb her hair, as if he wasn't there. Evan couldn't hold it in any longer. He squatted down, buried his face in his hands, and sobbed like a wounded puppy. It was a pitiful sight. Maya gently tugged my sleeve, and we tiptoed back to the black cell. "So what happened? What's the situation? Is there really a flower bride? Spill it." The moment Maya and I pushed the door open, Kevin and Chloe shot toward us like arrows. Chloe, in particular, had eyes gleaming with curiosity. This girl was so nosy. I rolled my eyes in disgust before telling her what we had seen. "Oh my God! What? No way!" Chloe reacted to every detail, single-handedly creating the buzz of an entire village. Maya was giggling to herself in the corner. After a moment, she composed herself and tried to look serious. "I know why the flower bride has that fragrance." I stared at her, shocked. Even I hadn't figured it out, but she knew? Ahem. I cleared my throat. "Rose's situation is a bit complicated. I'll let Maya explain it to you." Maya gave me a half-smile, then turned to Chloe and Kevin. First, Rose's 3 spiritual souls were stolen. Then she was hexed. I quietly sidled up closer to her, my ears perked. It's a very rare hex, called the 100-flower hex. The 100-flower hex is an extremely rare type of curse, different from all others. Other hexes are meant to kill, but the 100-flower hex is designed to turn a person into a medicinal ingredient. You select 100 venomous creatures and feed them 100 types of poisonous flowers. After 81 days, you put all the creatures in a single container and let them fight to the death. The last one alive is the 100-flower hex. The 100-flower hex is pure Yin energy and works best when used on an unmarried girl. Once a person is cursed, the creature will suck all the blood from their body within 7 days and lay its eggs in their abdomen. When the eggs mature, brilliant flowers will bloom all over her body. The person becomes a living nest for the hex eggs. And this kind of nest is a powerful supplement for all other hex creatures. Creatures that consume the 100-flower hex eggs will experience a massive boost in power. Not only will their venom become more potent, but they will also grant their master an unusually strong physique. Simply put, higher, faster, stronger. Everyone in the Blackwood clan raises these creatures. No wonder most of the villagers are so tall and strong. Even the old men walk with a spring in their step, as if they're riding on wheels of fire. Despising women while using their flesh and blood to empower themselves, this Blackwood clan is truly disgusting. Ugh. Despicable. Maya waved me over. "I have an idea." "Ugh. You're even more despicable." Maya didn't get angry, even though I'd sprayed her with spit. Instead, she grinned like a weasel that had just stolen a chicken. After we finalized our plan, Chloe and Kevin stayed in the black cell as lookouts, while Maya and I ran back to Evan's house. "Sav, she's, Sav, I'm so useless. Sis, if you die, I won't live either." Evan was really a crybaby. I walked up and slapped him hard on the shoulder. "Stop your whining. We have a way to save your sister." Evan looked up and saw us, jumping in fright. He scrambled to his feet, grabbed a nearby knife, and brandished it at us, his brows furrowed fiercely. "You two dare to escape again. I'm going to tell the high priest." His eyes had a hint of menace, but his thick eyelashes were still wet with tears. I smacked the knife out of his hand and turned to leave. "Forget it. We were going to tell you we knew how to save your sister, but since you're being like this, we'll just go back to the cell." I took 2 steps and stopped. I couldn't move. I looked down and saw that Evan was hugging my legs. He looked up at me pitifully. "Oh, really? I'm not well read, you can't lie to me." Evan was tall and tan, and up close I realized he was still very young, 15 or 16 at most. Just a kid. All right, I'd stop teasing him. Otherwise, it would look like the two of us were ganging up on a child. After I explained about the soul loss and the 100-flower hex, Evan's face went pale, and he didn't speak for a long time. "No. Imposible. I've been learning hex magic since I was 7, and I've never heard of a 100-flower hex." Maya stepped forward, grabbed Rose's hand, and under Evan's nervous gaze, cut her index finger, collecting a bowl full of blood. Be gentle. Why do you need so much blood? How much will she have to eat to get that back? Maya shot him a fierce glare, and Evan clamped his mouth shut. She poured water from a nearby teapot into the bowl. Just as expected, the blood floated on the surface like oil. Seeing Evan's look of disbelief, I pulled an egg from my pocket, peeled it, and gently rolled it across Rose's face. The once jade-white egg instantly turned as black as ink. Holding it was like holding a piece of black jade. Smack. Evan slapped himself hard across the face, then ran to the window and started vomiting, his face a mess of tears and snot. After a while he wiped his face clean, walked over to us and dropped to his knees. If you can cure my sister, I'm willing to pledge my life to you, to serve you forever. Maya put her hands on her hips, annoyed. What's that supposed to mean? Why not choose me? I pushed her aside and helped Evan up. Because I have the aura of a king, obviously. What do you know? Step aside. Of course, I didn't need him to pledge his life. Maya had said the 100-flower hex was the most difficult curse in the world to break, and that we needed to find the Goo King to do it. That was actually a lie. To break the 100-flower hex, you just had to perform a full-body blood transfusion within 4 days of being cursed. The Goo King was sealed in a cave, and the cave door could only be opened by a member of the Blackwood clan. That's why Maya had concocted the story, to trick Evan into taking us up the mountain to open the door for us. The naive Evan believed her completely. He packed his things and gave a lingering, reluctant look at Rose, who was still combing her hair. Sis, you wait for me at home. I promise I won't let you die. Seeing their close bond, I was a little surprised. Your clan looks down on women so much, but you're pretty good to your sister. Evan's face immediately flushed, and he stammered. It's just the rule in the village. You have to talk like that, or you'll be ostracized. Evan was an impatient person. He wanted to leave as soon as he had his things packed. But for someone cursed with the 100-flower hex, the longer we waited, the more dangerous it became. Maya and I went back to the black cell to get Chloe and Kevin, agreeing to meet Evan under the old camphor tree at the village entrance. What are you doing here? Leo pulled Evan behind him, staring at us warily. Evan is young and naive. You can fool him, but you can't fool me. I've lived in this village my whole life, and I've never heard of any Goo King. I didn't even spare him a glance, just turned to Evan. Do you want to save your sister or not? Evan immediately burst into tears and hugged Leo. Brother Leo, just drop it, please. I'm begging you. Leo's anger deflated, but he still insisted on coming with us to find the Goo King. Leo and Evan had grown up in the mountains and knew the terrain better than we did. To save Rose, everyone picked up the pace and traveled through the night. Halfway there, Chloe and Kevin were exhausted. They had just sat down to rest when Evan squatted right in front of them, staring intently. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chloe got goosebumps from his staring. Evan, what are you counting? Evan sighed dramatically, his voice dripping with misery. For every second you rest, another 100-flower hex egg grows inside my sister. 20, 21, 22. Chloe let out a wail and shot up from the ground. Kevin's face turned pale as he scrambled to his feet. We're moving right now. That night, Evan pushed us so hard I didn't even have time for a sip of water. We all held our breath and ran like mad, finally reaching the legendary Insect Mountain the next afternoon. This is the Insect Mountain you were talking about? This is a forbidden land for our Blackwood clan. The Blackwood clan called it Hex Mountain. They said the venomous creatures here were different from anywhere else, especially fierce and much more poisonous. When their clan members needed to raise hex bugs, they would come to Hex Mountain to find them. Maya pulled out her compass and scouted the mountain. After leading us through a winding maze of paths, she brought us to a large tree. Holy crap! What a huge gravewood tree! Maya and I circled the tree, our eyes gleaming. Chloe looked at us suspiciously. Why aren't you guys breaking the spell? Spell? What spell? I carefully circled the tree again and realized the gravewood was just an illusion, the focal point of a simple disorientation spell. Maya and I hung our heads in shame. To think that such a crude illusion could fool both of us. I've definitely been spending too much time with Maya. She's making me dumber. After we broke the illusion, the gravewood vanished. Maya looked like she was about to cry. Why? Why are all the beautiful things in the world fake? Why? I hate it. The giant tree disappeared, replaced by a massive stone gate. The gate was covered in carvings of all sorts of hex creatures, looking exactly like the archway at the entrance to the Blackwood village. Leo and Evan stared at the gate in awe. It seemed they really didn't know anything about the Goo King. In the center of the gate was a carving of a giant, horned serpent, its mouth wide open, revealing 2 sharp fangs. Maya gestured for Leo to place his finger under the fangs. As soon as he did, the fangs moved. The stone serpent seemed to come to life, its body writhing. As it moved, a black hole, about 3 feet high and 1.5 feet wide, appeared in the middle of its mouth. A dark, rotten smell wafted out, nauseatingly foul. We stood at the cave entrance for a while, waiting for the stench to dissipate a little before Maya took a deep breath. Let's go in. Maya took the lead, with Kevin right behind her. After Chloe and I entered, Leo and Evan scrambled in after us. To my surprise, there was light inside the cave. The cave was shaped like a narrow-mouthed vase, a small opening leading to a very large chamber. The light was shining down from the top. A pillar of light illuminated the center of the cave. The closer you got to it, the brighter it was. But where we stood, it was pitch black. We couldn't see a thing without a light. I took a flashlight out of my bag. Evan looked at it with envy. Their village was hidden deep in the mountains, isolated from the world. The villagers rarely went out, and it was clear that Leo and Evan were fascinated by modern technology. Boom. After we were all inside, a huge boulder dropped from above, sealing the entrance. Evan and Leo started to panic, but Maya waved her hand dismissively. It's fine. See the snake's eyes on the boulder? Just wipe some blood on them when you want to get out. Hiss, hiss, sith. What's that sound? I shone my flashlight toward the source of the noise, and my scalp went numb. A swarm of bizarre creatures with snake heads and scorpion tails were slithering toward us, their forked tongues flicking in and out. What the hell kind of hex bug is this? Evan and Leo were startled too. Leo's face went pale as he stepped in front of us. You guys run. These are failed experiments, mutated creatures. They're incredibly ferocious and dangerous. Evan, what are you hiding for? As men in times like these, we should. Before he could finish, Maya, Chloe, and I had already charged forward. Chloe threw a bottle of oil directly into the swarm. I formed a hand seal, lit a talisman, and shot it toward the oil. Boom! Flames erupted. The creatures shrieked and retreated like a tidal wave. Maya screeched to a halt just before the wall of fire and clapped her hands, looking smug. Mutant hex bugs? Piece of cake. Leo and Evan stared, completely dumbfounded. Leo's mouth hung open, and he was speechless for a long time. Evan, on the other hand, was full of admiration. You guys are so brave. You're the bravest women I've ever seen. A scorched smell filled the cave. Through the flames, I saw a massive black shadow flash in the distance. Maya saw it too. She excitedly strapped a headlamp to her forehead. Whoa, that thing is huge. I wonder if it's the Goo King. Let's go. Kevin followed her nervously. You don't even know what it is and you're chasing it? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Chloe and I immediately followed. Man, Maya was chasing it so hard, it had to be something good. As Maya ran, the beam from her headlamp bobbed up and down. In the flickering light, I caught a glimpse of a giant black tail. After a short run, Maya suddenly stopped. I couldn't brake in time and crashed right into her, sending us both tumbling into a stone chamber ahead. That's right. In this cave crawling with hex bugs, there was a stone room. And sitting on a stone stool in that room was a woman with black hair and a blue dress. Her skin was pale, her eyes long and slender. Her black hair cascaded to the floor like a waterfall. The only color on her face was the crimson of her lips. This woman was so beautiful she was almost otherworldly. Seeing us, she stood up and smiled faintly. You're here. Have a seat. We all looked at each other, no one daring to step forward. Maya had said this cave had been sealed for 1,000 years. A cave sealed for a millennium. Why was there a woman inside? She had no demonic aura, nor any ghostly presence. Not a demon, not a ghost. But a normal person couldn't possibly live for 1,000 years, right? Seeing us hesitate, the woman's expression soured slightly. She frowned, her gaze lingering on Leo and Evan. Tell me, why did Quinn let you into the cave? Hearing the name Quinn, Leo and Evan paused. Evan scratched his head. Quinn, that name sounds familiar. Smack. Evan got a heavy slap on the head. Leo glared at the woman, looking embarrassed and annoyed. You idiot, how dare you say our ancestors' names so casually? Ancestor? The woman shot to her feet, staring at us intently. What year of the Tianxi era is it now? Tianxi. Emperor Zhenzong? The Northern Song Dynasty. When she learned that 1,000 years had passed since the Northern Song Dynasty, the woman staggered back and fell onto the stool. She sat in a daze for a long time before pushing herself up with the table. 1,000 years. It's been a whole 1,000 years. Ha, Quinn. You actually locked me up for a millennium. The woman's name was Reina, and she and Quinn were disciples under the same master. They had studied hex magic together since they were children. When they first joined, Quinn had even promised to take care of her as her senior. But as Reina's extraordinary talent for hex magic became apparent, Quinn's feelings of camaraderie soured. Every day, their master would say the same thing. Who says women are inferior to men? I think Reina is more powerful than any man in this world. Quinn, you may be tall and strong, but compared to Reina, you're still far behind. Quinn became consumed with jealousy. When their master decided to pass his legacy on to Reina, Quinn killed him and locked Reina in this cave. But he never expected that Reina had secretly learned the master's ultimate, forbidden technique, the Ageless Hex. The Ageless Hex was an incredibly powerful art. Once mastered, one could achieve immortality, just like a celestial being. We were all captivated by this incredible story. After Reina finished, Maya walked straight over to Chloe and started rummaging through her pockets. Hey, stop that. What are you doing? Maya pulled a satellite phone from Chloe's pocket and obsequiously placed it in front of Reina. Grandma Reina, please watch this video. The video was a history of China from the Song Dynasty to the present day. I glanced at the progress bar. It would take at least 3 hours to finish. A person from the Song Dynasty like Reina had never seen anything like it. She was immediately hooked by the phone. She was like a 7-year-old obsessed with a phone, her eyes glued to the screen. Seeing Reina completely mesmerized, Maya started signaling frantically to me. The few of us quietly tiptoed out of the stone chamber. Once we were a safe distance away, Maya broke into a full sprint. Leo and his brother were completely baffled, but seeing us run, they ran too. We sprinted to the cave entrance. Maya grabbed Evan's hand and pressed it against the snake fang. Faster, faster. Go faster. She was anxious, her movements frantic, as if a pack of wild dogs was chasing her. Once we were all out and the gate was sealed again, Maya collapsed on the ground, sighing in relief. Chloe was confused. She sat down next to Maya, completely bewildered. Maya, what was that all about? Maya wiped the sweat from her face, looked up, and said, still shaken, there's no such thing as an ageless hex. Reina is the Goo King. After Quinn killed their master, he locked Reina in this cave with thousands of venomous creatures. He had fed her the secret potion used to train hex bugs. After countless battles for survival in the cave, she was the last one standing. And in doing so, she became the Goo King. Using a human to create a hex bug, it was unheard of. I looked at Maya suspiciously. How do you know so much? Maya guiltily touched her nose and pulled a golden beetle from her pocket. This is a detection bug a friend gave me. It can sense the power level of other hex bugs. The moment we entered that stone room, this thing literally died of fright. My friend once said that the most terrifying hex in the world is a human hex. They have the body of a hex bug, but the intelligence and thoughts of a human. If you ever encounter one, run as far away as you can. I was shocked. Reina wasn't a person, but a hex bug? No wonder she had no demonic or ghostly aura. Yet her presence was incredibly powerful, almost like my master's. This stone gate must have been specifically designed by Quinn for Reina, so that only his descendants could open it. After Maya's explanation, we were all so stunned we couldn't speak. After a long silence, Chloe said through gritted teeth, so you showed Reina the phone just to distract her? Then why didn't you use your own phone? Why use mine? Evan finally snapped out of it. He jumped up and was about to put his hand on the snake fang again, but thankfully Kevin was quick enough to grab him. Let me go. Didn't you say only the Goo King can save my sister? I need to find the Goo King. Like a magician, Maya pulled a small lock of black hair from her pocket. It was dark and glossy, smooth as silk, obviously from someone with excellent hair. I had only seen hair that good on one person. I felt the back of my own head. Sure enough, a patch was missing. That damn scoundrel. Maya held up the hair triumphantly. This is the Goo King's hair. I snipped it when she wasn't looking. Burn this to ash, have your sister drink it, and then give her a full blood transfusion. The 100-flower hex will be cured. Evan immediately snatched the hair, tucked it carefully into his pocket, and sprinted down the mountain without a second glance. Brother Leo, I'm going to save my sister first. Leo paused for a second, then took off after him, his long 6'3" legs covering the ground quickly. After they were gone, Maya glanced at me nervously. I let out a cold laugh, raised my peachwood sword, and shouted, "You beast! Face my sword!" Whoa, crap, you're actually hitting me. Damn it, Kevin. Are you just going to stand there and watch me get beaten up? Maya ran for her life, clutching her head. Kevin stood by helplessly, arms crossed. I'm just a normal person. I don't know martial arts. Chloe and Kevin took Rose down the mountain for the blood transfusion. A major procedure like that required a proper hospital, something the Blackwood clan didn't have. Soon, it was the day of Rose's wedding. Maya, wearing Rose's wedding dress and a red veil, was carried by Evan into the mountain god's designated cave. I secretly followed behind. After the procession left, I quickly slipped into the cave. Torches lit the cave walls. Maya lay on a stone bed, covered by the red veil. Before long, two familiar figures entered. The high priest was carrying a heavy wooden box. The box was pitch black, clearly made of gravewood. Following him was the chief of the Blackwood clan, Leo's father. The high priest opened the gravewood box. The hex bugs inside swarmed out as if on stimulants, crawling rapidly toward Maya. Seeing this, the chief let out a heavy sigh. Priest, this doesn't sit right with me. I watched Rose grow up, and now, she's being sacrificed to these creatures. The high priest looked at the still figure on the stone bed with a complicated expression, and sighed as well. This batch of creatures is for the children to bond with. They are the next generation of our Blackwood clan. Rose's sacrifice is worthwhile. The clan will not forget what she has done for her people. Huh. The high priest let out a cry of surprise. The creatures had crawled onto the stone bed, but instead of burrowing into the bride as they usually did, they formed a circle around her, none of them daring to approach. Father, you have greatly disappointed me. At the cave entrance, Evan and Leo walked in, their faces grim. Nonsense. The chief flung his arm out. Leo, what are you doing here? Leo looked at his father with anguish. The strength and prosperity of the Blackwood clan should not be built on the bones of women. Well said. Maya threw off her veil, sat up, and started clapping, startling both the high priest and the chief. The high priest's face changed when he saw Maya. Leo, you dare bring her into the cave of the mountain god. This is a forbidden place. The chief was also furious. Leo, only the chief and the high priest can enter the cave of the mountain god. Both of you get out. Leo gave him a meaningful look. From today on, I will be the chief of the Blackwood clan. Dad, you're getting old. You can stay home and tend to your garden. Evan will be my high priest. From now on, the affairs of the Blackwood clan will have nothing to do with you. The high priest laughed, completely infuriated. He turned to the chief and roared. According to clan rules, trespassers in the Forbidden Land must die. Are you going to clean up your own house? Or should I do it for you? Swish. In the next second, the high priest's head fell to the ground, and blood sprayed 2 feet into the air like a fountain. Evan wiped the blood from his face and looked at Leo expressionlessly. Chief, your inauguration ceremony can be held tonight. No one had expected Evan to act so suddenly. The chief, already old, was so frightened by the sight that he collapsed to the ground. Leo, you. Leo gave him a deep look and took a necklace from around his neck. He placed the necklace, a symbol of the chief's authority, around his own neck and stared at the former chief, speaking each word deliberately. Father, I told you, I don't like a Blackwood clan that stands on the bones of women. I can look down on women, but I can't look down on them while eating their flesh and drinking their blood. From this day forward, there will be no more flower brides in the Blackwood clan. I emerged from the corner and squatted next to Maya, joining her in applause. I never would have guessed that Leo and Evan could be so decisive. Especially Evan, he didn't say a word, just went straight for the kill. He was destined for great things. I had truly underestimated him. The method for creating the 100-flower hex had always been passed down only to the high priest of the Blackwood clan. With the high priest dead, the secret was lost forever. What followed was the private business of the Blackwood clan. Leo and Evan were incredibly busy. Rose was brought back by Chloe and Kevin. Evan gave us a box of beautifully colored hex bugs, saying that if we kept them at home, we'd never have to deal with flies, mosquitoes, or cockroaches again. Maya and I gladly accepted. On the way down the mountain, she was still muttering, "Man, I came here to find the Goo King, but all I got was a box of beetles." I tried to comfort her magnanimously. "Hey, you seem down. How about this? I'll treat you to a trip to Japan to cheer you up. What do you say?" Maya looked at me suspiciously. "You'd be that nice?" I immediately thumped my chest and swore an oath. "It's just for fun. Chloe has a friend there who's hosting some kind of fancy banquet. I heard the chefs are flown in from all over the world." Catching my signal, Chloe nodded at Maya. "It's so high class, they use 82 Lafite as mouthwash." At the mention of good food, Maya's eyes lit up. "Really? I'm in. When do we leave?" "Sounds nice. Count me in." A cool female voice sounded from behind us. Maya and I froze on the spot, as if petrified. Chloe looked like she was about to cry. That voice, why does it sound so familiar? Like robots, we slowly turned around. There, standing under a tree, was Reina in a green dress, smiling beautifully at us. Yendi. Next chapter. My friends and I went to Japan and ran into the night parade of 100 demons. An Onmyoji fought desperately to protect us, but the demons kept coming. Just as everyone was losing hope, I pushed the Onmyoji aside and stepped forward. "In the name of the Supreme Lord, I command you." Ever heard of a Chinese Taoist master? Chloe, this is the master you were talking about? I think you've been scammed. A young woman with dramatic makeup held a wine glass and looked Maya and me up and down before snorting derisively. Maya and I had come to Japan with Chloe for a private party. This girl was Chloe's friend, Tiffany. I heard she was obsessed with Japanese culture, and even went to college here. This party was to introduce everyone to her new Japanese boyfriend. Tiffany's family was incredibly wealthy, and she had spared no expense for this gathering. I could see why she looked down on us, and honestly, it was mostly Maya's fault. Maya, a poor student, rarely attended such high society events. Everyone else was in evening gowns and expensive jewelry, elegantly holding wine glasses and murmuring to one another. Only Maya stood at the buffet table, devouring food like a starving wolf. She had a king crab leg in her left hand, a Boston lobster in her right, and a piece of black gold abalone sticking out of her mouth. She was the center of attention. Everyone stared with a mix of disdain and disgust, whispering amongst themselves. Her table manners were atrocious. Ugh, she was embarrassing all of us. I pushed aside the stack of 18 empty plates in front of me and rolled my eyes at her. Eat, that's all you know. Were you a hungry ghost in your past life? I saw that lobster first. Give me half. Just as Maya and I were about to come to blows over the lobster, Chloe walked over and pulled us apart. All right, stop eating. I'll treat you to grilled seafood later. Come meet my friends first. A Taoist master? A what? A celestial master? The last celestial master? Oh my God, Chloe. Where did you find these two clowns? This is hilarious. Tiffany covered her mouth, her body shaking with laughter. I was used to this kind of baseless contempt. Maya just shrugged and turned to Chloe. Where are we going for grilled seafood? Do they have Wagyu? I love that stuff. Seeing that we were ignoring her, Tiffany stomped her foot angrily. Chloe, we've been friends for years. I'm just looking out for you. I have a way to prove they're fakes. The three of us turned to look at her. Tiffany took off a diamond bracelet from her wrist and, without hesitation, tossed it into the swimming pool. Whichever one of you gets it first can keep it. Has this idiot been watching too many soap operas? Chloe's face darkened. Maya was furious too. What gives you the right to make us fetch something? Who do you think you? It's probably worth about $300,000. Tiffany casually held up her hand to admire the sapphire ring on her finger. I bought it at an auction last time. I think it was a little over $360,000. I don't remember the exact price. Hearing this, Maya threw her head back and laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha, a mere $300,000? Who do you think we are? While she was laughing, she tried to trip me with a leg sweep when I wasn't looking. I deftly jumped over her leg, but as soon as I landed, Chloe grabbed me in a bear hug. Leah, don't do it. For my sake. Yeah, right. What sake is worth $360,000? Splash. Splash. Maya and I jumped into the pool one after the other. We traded punches and kicks in the water until I gave a final, hard tug, and the bracelet snapped in two. When I finally surfaced, wiping the water from my face with satisfaction, I was met with Chloe's murderous glare. Hero, you're here? Just then, a handsome, slender man in a designer suit walked in through the main entrance. Tiffany's face lit up when she saw him. She gathered her skirt and ran to his side, linking her arm with his and smiling sweetly. Everyone, I'd like to formally introduce my boyfriend. The famous Japanese onmyoji hero. In Japan, onmyoji were an ancient and mysterious profession. Legend has it that during Japan's Heian period 794-1192, all sorts of demons would emerge from every direction as night fell. It was a dark, ambiguous era where humans and demons coexisted. The world of yokai. The days belonged to humans, the nights were a parade of 100 demons. It was during this time that onmyoji took on the important task of protecting the peace. They passed their skills down through generations, not only guarding the imperial palace and the emperor, but also exorcising demons among the common people, earning great respect. I looked at the impeccably dressed hero, then at Maya, drenched and wearing cheap clothes with her wet hair plastered to her face. Sigh. The comparison was just depressing. A noble, mysterious onmyoji versus a grifting, smelly Daoist. We both dealt with ghosts and demons, so why was the treatment so different? Under Chloe's icy gaze, Maya and I climbed out of the pool. Hero's English was excellent. He spoke softly and politely, quickly winning over the crowd. Chloe was genuinely angry now. She kept a straight face the whole time, not even cracking a smile. The barbecue is cancelled. No food for you. You can eat crap. After the party, a few of Chloe's friends changed into athletic wear, saying they were going to a cabin in the mountains for an after-party. Tiffany leaned affectionately on Hero's shoulder, her expression smug. That cabin is special. They say it's inhabited by a Narayama. A Narayama is a type of household spirit that lives under the floorboards, mostly found in old, dilapidated houses. At night, when you're about to sleep, the house will start to creak. This is usually the Narayama's mischief. They are tiny, about the height of a human finger, and like to come out in the middle of the night. They carry tools and move around the house, dismantling any parts they don't like. Chloe, I'm going to show you a real ghost later. Try not to get too scared. Tiffany's eyes darted around, lingering a little too long on Maya and me. It was clear our introduction had not impressed her. Chloe weakly defended us. Leah and Maya are really powerful too. This time, even Hero chuckled. He raised an eyebrow and looked at us mockingly. Onmyoji belonged to the Bureau of Onmyo. I am currently an assistant director, a rank of the junior 6th grade. May I ask what ranks you two hold? Junior 6th grade? Seeing our blank stares, Hero patiently explained. The junior 6th grade is equivalent to a 6th rank official in ancient China. In modern terms, that's about the level of a county mayor. I heard you say that celestial masters were part of the royal astronomers in ancient China, and could read the stars. Since Maya is the sole heir, her rank must be quite high, no? And Leah, a disciple from a 1,000-year-old esoteric order. I wonder if you've reached the 5th rank. Maya and I looked at each other and hung our heads in shame. Aside from my beauty and talent, I had nothing. Sigh. Seeing our dejected looks, Tiffany became even more smug. She pulled Chloe closer, a triumphant smile on her face. Chloe, we've been friends for years. I wouldn't lie to you. I know you love this kind of thrilling stuff. Don't worry, with Hiro protecting us, we'll be very safe. I looked at Hiro with a sour expression. The Kumo family was indeed one of the most powerful Onmyoji clans. During the Heian period, two families practically controlled all Onmyoji. One was the Abe family, famous for Abe no Saimai. The other was the Kumo family. Of Japan's 8 great Onmyoji, the Kumo family accounted for 3. Maya was just as bitter. Our trip to Japan had come at a great cost. We had accidentally released the Gu King, Reina, when we were in the mountains. She had become one with her hex, and we were no match for her. Maya needed a true Gu King, the sole survivor of 1,000 hex bugs refined by a secret method, to cure her friend. Reina had spent her 1,000 years of confinement refining hex bugs, and had several that met the criteria. To get one, we had to agree to several of her conditions. One of them was to retrieve a piece of the Seisho Seiki, the killing stone, for her. Maya needed something from her, and I had a task from my own master. Now, not only were we under immense pressure, but we also had to watch Hiro show off. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but stomp hard on Maya's foot. I had originally tricked her into coming here to help me with my mission, but it turned out her mission was much, much harder than mine. The Killing Stone. It was formed from the body of one of Japan's 3 great demons, the 9-tailed fox Tamamo no Mei. Several major temples treated the stone like a sacred treasure. Getting our hands on it would be like pulling chestnuts out of a fire. Ow! Why'd you stomp on me? Maya hopped around, glaring at me. I rolled my eyes and sneered. I'm stomping on you, you useless bum who can't even make it to the 6th rank. As we bickered, the mountain path grew more remote. The sky was already pitch black. The path was silent, save for the occasional chirp of an insect. Tiffany was panting from exhaustion, but didn't forget to boast about Hiro's prowess. The Daoists in our country who tell fortunes and read faces are all fakes. And all that spirit channeling stuff? It's just old-fashioned superstition. Chloe, let me tell you, you're just too naive, gullible and rich. I bit my lip, forcing myself to hold back the urge to beat her up as I trudged on. Hiro just smiled faintly, glanced at us dismissively, and turned to take Tiffany's hand. They were quite formidable before the Tang dynasty. But now, China's traditions have long been broken. When it comes to the art of Onmyo, the best is still here in Japan. Well, this guy, just as I was rolling up my sleeves to show him the power of Chinese Taoism, I felt a sharp blow to the back of my head. Maya, what was that for? I rubbed the back of my head. Did she just hit me with a rock? Maya blinked innocently. What? What's wrong? I sneered and turned away, but my ears were pricked up. Whoosh! A sound cut through the air. I spun around, and my hand shot out, catching an egg-sized rock in midair. The force, the distance, it definitely wasn't Maya. Maya realized it too. She turned warily, scanning our surroundings. Seeing us stop, Chloe turned back and asked, Leah, why'd you stop walking? I tossed the rock in my hand and hurled it into the dark, dense woods. Crash! A black shadow darted past, disappearing from sight in a flash. Chloe rubbed her eyes in disbelief. Whoa! What was that? The creature was about the size of a 10-year-old child, resembled an ape, and was covered in red fur. I chased it into the woods for a bit before giving up. It was just too fast. What's wrong? Why are you running? Tiffany stopped, looking puzzled. Hiro also came over, concerned. I was panting, a sense of unease growing in my chest. I had trained in the mountains since I was a child, practicing my stances for an hour every single day, winter and summer. Even with my skills, I could only catch a distant glimpse of that thing's back. Its speed was astonishing. Chloe's face was grim. She looked at Hiro. I think I just saw a kid. Hiro paused for a moment, then immediately dismissed it. He said this was an uninhabited area, long abandoned. I think it was a monkey. A red-furred monkey. Maya had seen its back too. She stroked her chin, deep in thought, clearly trying to recall the image. Chloe shook her head. That thing was running on 2 legs, faster than a person. A monkey can't run that fast standing up. Wait a minute. Hiro's eyes darted between the three of us, finally settling on me with suspicion. Upright, half a man's height, ape-like, covered in red fur? You're not messing with me, are you? That sounds a lot like a Yamawarawa. But those things haven't been seen in centuries. Hearing the word Yamawarawa, I slapped my thigh. Talk about luck, just when I needed a pillow one appears. Maya yelped and hopped 2 meters away, clutching her leg. Damn it, Leah. What did you slap my leg for? The Yamawarawa is a creature from Japanese folklore. It's said that in winter, Kappa River spirits go into the mountains and transform into Yamawarawa, then return to the rivers in spring. Yamawarawa are extremely picky about their environment, requiring mountains that are rich in yin energy, completely uninhabited, and exceptionally clean. With modern development, even Kappa are on the verge of extinction, making Yamawarawa even rarer. My purpose in coming to Japan was to find a Yamawarawa. They have a flat dish on their heads that holds the water of life. This water grants them immense strength and incredible speed. When the water in the dish dries up, the Yamawarawa dies. My goal was to collect a small vial of this water of life to bring back to my master. I thought it would take ages to find one, but here I was, running into one on my very first day. Seeing my gleeful expression, Hiro looked serious. Yamawarawa can tear apart cattle and sheep. They're unpredictable and hold grudges. I still think you probably misidentified it, but if it really is a Yamawarawa, you must listen to me and not act rashly. At the mention of tearing apart cattle, Tiffany let out a delicate cry and fell into Hiro's arms. Oh, how terrifying. Seeing this, Maya also let out a soft whimper and leaned on Chloe's shoulder. So scary you have to protect me. Chloe and Maya burst out laughing, but I wasn't feeling so lighthearted. Yamawarawa were no pushovers. Young Yamawarawa have no tails. The older they get, the longer their tails grow. And as they age, their strength and speed increase exponentially. The creature I saw flashed by in an instant, but from what I could tell, its tail was at least 10 to 12 inches long. Based on that length, this Yamawarawa had to be over 100 years old. Woo! A cold wind howled through the silent forest, making the leaves rustle. The flashlight beam only illuminated a small area in front of us. The dense, dark mountains were like a gaping beast, swallowing all light in the distance. Everyone walked with their heads down, focused. Even Chloe and Maya had stopped their antics. The atmosphere grew heavy. Tiffany got more and more scared, practically trying to shrink into Hiro's arms. Crap! As we walked, Chloe, who was at the back, suddenly cried out. I whipped around to see that she had accidentally stepped into a rope snare. The rope tightened, hoisting her upside down from a thick tree branch. Leah, get me down. Chloe dangled in the air, a good 6 or 7 feet off the ground. She flailed her arms, trying to swing herself toward a nearby tree trunk. Don't move. I was about to help her when Hiro stopped me. This trap was probably set by a hunter long ago. And hunters rarely set just one. Hiro knelt down, holding a flashlight in one hand and a stick in the other, carefully sweeping away the thick layer of dead leaves on the ground. After a few sweeps, 2 thick, yellow hemp rope snares were revealed. Hiro, you're amazing. What would we do without you? As expected of an onmyoji, so much better than some people. Tiffany gushed, her eyes sparkling like a love-struck teenager, which made Maya roll her eyes. All right, it's safe to go now. Hiro stood up with a confident smile and nodded at Maya and me. Maya pursed her lips and started walking toward Chloe. I followed right behind her. After just 2 steps, we heard a loud crash from above. Boom. A giant net fell from the sky, trapping Maya and me. I was hoisted into the air, squeezed together with Maya. The net was hung high, giving me a much wider view. I could clearly see a blurry black figure in the distance, charging toward Tiffany at an incredible speed. Look out! Almost as soon as the words left my mouth, the black figure was in front of Tiffany. Only then did I get a clear look at the Yamawarawa. It was covered in thick fur, with a ferocious face and fangs like a viper. It opened its mouth and roared at Tiffany, its jaw splitting all the way to its ears. Tiffany had never seen anything like it, and was scared out of her wits. She shrieked and threw her flashlight at the creature. The Yamawarawa had been trying to grab the backpack off Tiffany's shoulders and was caught off guard. The flashlight hit it square in the face. It leaped aside, clutching its eyes and letting out an enraged screech, its fur standing on end like a cat's. Yamawarawa are violent, vengeful creatures that hold a grudge. Tiffany had heard it. Now we were in trouble. The Yamawarawa forgot about the bag and swung its long red-furred arm, slapping Tiffany across the face. The blow sent her spinning twice in the air before she stumbled backward, fell to the ground, and lay still unconscious. I winced. That was a heavy blow. I wondered if Tiffany had a concussion. After knocking Tiffany out, the Yamawarawa wasn't finished. Its eyes darted around, and it jumped over to a nearby tree, circling a rock that was about half a person's height. Holy crap! Is it going to throw that rock at her? Maya's eyes were wide with horror. I was just as terrified. If that rock hit, Tiffany would be turned into a pancake. Wait a minute. At this critical moment, where was Hiro? I scanned the area and found him hiding behind a huge boulder, charging up a spell. He was sitting cross-legged on the ground, chanting incantations. His hands were forming various seals in front of his chest, fingers flying in a dazzling display. His expression was focused and devout, and a faint white light emanated from his body, making him look like a god descended to earth. Maya couldn't help but smack her lips. You have to admit, it looks pretty badass. I nodded. Badass, sure, but if he takes any longer, Tiffany's going to be dead. Hey, you idiot. Come and get me if you've got the guts. Chloe dangled from the tree, swinging back and forth. She even took out her phone and threw it at the Yamawarawa, trying to get its attention. Maya and I did the same. I fumbled around and threw a pastry I'd brought from the hotel. Maya pulled a phone out of her pocket, looked at it, and then stuffed it back in. She pressed her face against the mesh of the net and tried to spit at the Yamawarawa. Haktui. Our efforts worked. The Yamawarawa's attention was diverted. It let out a few squeaks, abandoned the rock, and walked over to a tree. It wrapped its arms around a tree as thick as a thigh, dug its feet in, and with a mighty heave, uprooted the entire 10-foot-tall tree. The Yamawarawa tossed the tree aside, broke off a few leafy branches, and turned the once vibrant sapling into a giant club. Chloe stopped swinging and hung there, playing dead. I retracted my hand, trying to pretend the last few moments never happened. But the damage was done. Maya, after building up pressure, let loose a surprisingly large wad of spit. Splat. The spit hit its target, landing squarely on the Yamawarawa's grotesque face. The Yamawarawa wiped the spit off its face and looked up, its gaze dark and menacingly fixed on Maya and me. I worked faster, using my dagger to saw at the net. The net was woven from some unknown vine. It was fireproof and resistant to blades. I had been grinding at it for a while, and had only managed to make a small opening. Damn it! Leah, watch out! The net was only so big, and we were suspended in midair. Where could we even dodge? Whack! Whack! Maya and I struggled, but we were still hit by the thick tree trunk. The Yamawarawa swung the trunk left and right, hitting us 4 or 5 times without a break. Half of my body went numb. My entire being felt like it had been run over by a steamroller, a mix of sharp pain and dull numbness. Luckily, the vines absorbed some of the force. If that had hit Chloe, it would have made her cough up blood. The Yamawarawa took a short break, took a couple of deep breaths, then raised the trunk and swung at us again with all its might. Its dark pupils glinted with madness and hatred. I could even see a cold smirk on its lips. Whoosh! The trunk sliced through the air with a vicious force. I could almost smell death. Maya to the east. Together, Maya and I threw our weight, swinging the net eastward. Since it didn't hit us directly on the first swing, the Yamawarawa's force was greatly diminished. The trunk slammed into a thick branch behind us and snapped in two. The Yamawarawa angrily threw down the broken trunk and went back to the large rock. Maya and I looked at each other, our hearts still pounding. If that blow had connected, we would have been dead or crippled. The night was cold in the mountains, but my forehead was covered in sweat. Chloe hung motionless from the tree. I worried. She might have a cerebral hemorrhage. Tiffany lay on the ground, her condition unknown. And Hiro was still sitting there, charging up his spell. I looked anxiously at the cross-legged Hiro. Bro, if you don't heal us soon, your kids are gonna die. Huh. The Yamawarawa lifted the massive rock over its head, its small body completely obscured by it. Maya and I held our breath, watching as the creature hesitated, deciding whether to target us, Chloe, or Tiffany. Whoosh. A fierce wind, carrying snowflakes, blew past, forcing me to shut my eyes. The temperature around us plummeted. The sweat on Maya's eyelashes instantly froze into tiny ice crystals. I huddled, feeling my entire body go numb with a cold so intense I had never experienced it before. Was this it? Had Hiro's ultimate spell finally activated? The Yamawarawa had made its decision. It lumbered toward us, holding the rock high. Before it took 2 steps, an incredibly beautiful woman appeared behind it. She had skin as white as snow and hair the color of ice blue. Her beauty was almost unreal. She floated in the air and blew a gentle breath toward the Yamawarawa. In an instant, both the creature and the rock were encased in ice. Maya's eyes nearly popped out of her head. Holy crap! It's Princess Elsa. Idiot, that's a Yukiana. A Yukiana, or Snow Woman, is a spirit that haunts icy mountains. Legend says she lures men who wander into the mountains to secluded spots and kisses them. As she kisses them, she freezes them solid and consumes their souls. She also freezes handsome men she fancies into ice sculptures and keeps them in her cave for display. I never thought Hiro's Shikigami would be a Yukiana. As expected of the Kumo family, their legacy ran deep. In Japan, Onmyoji at the age of 16 can, with their family's help, find a yokai and form a master-servant contract. Once subdued, the yokai pledges allegiance to the Onmyoji and becomes their Shikigami. This Yukiana was probably a legacy passed down through generations of the Kumo family. For Hiro to have her as his Shikigami meant he was likely the heir of his generation. The Yamawarawa was frozen to the ground, unable to move. The Yuki-ana floated over to us, blew on the net, and the vines turned to ice. I kicked the frozen vines, and they shattered into pieces. Wow, that was awesome. Chloe was quickly freed as well. The 3 of us gathered around the frozen Yamawarawa, marveling at it. After summoning the Yuki-ana, Hiro's face turned whiter than hers. He stumbled over to Tiffany like an old man and helped her up. Only then did we all blush. We were so engrossed in looking at the Yamawarawa that we'd completely forgotten about her. Chloe, especially, rushed over and hugged Tiffany. Tiff, are you okay? Wake up. Tiffany moaned softly and slowly opened her eyes. After learning what had happened, her head stopped spinning, her face no longer hurt, and she could walk for miles without getting tired. Oh my God, is that the Yuki-ana? I finally got to see the legendary Snow Woman. Hiro is amazing. Hiro saved all your lives, didn't he? See, Onmyoji are the most powerful in the world. Hiro humbly waved his hand. Saving your lives was nothing. But our country's Onmyo arts are indeed unparalleled. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. If I remember correctly, your Onmyoji came from our country, right? It developed from the Yin-Yang school of the spring and autumn period. Hearing this, Hiro just shrugged. Gunpowder was also invented in China, but you used it for fireworks while Europe used it to make guns and cannons, which they then used to blast open the gates of the Qing government. Who invented it doesn't matter. What matters is who can use it best. Now the world only knows of Japan's Onmyoji. We were all furious at his words. Maya and Chloe rolled up their sleeves, ready to argue. Tiffany stood with her hands on her hips, glaring at us. What are you doing? Where was Hiro wrong? Aside from a bunch of swindlers, what Onmyo masters do we have left in our country? Don't you know spirits aren't allowed to gain sentience after the founding of the PRC? All that stuff you do is just superstition. Oh, I was about to lose it. Just as I was about to make a move, a crack sound came from the Yamawarawa. Crack, 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 crack. I shoved Tiffany aside and grabbed Maya and Chloe, yanking them backward. The ice on the Yamawarawa cracked rapidly. A massive rock flew toward where we had just been standing. The rock hit the ground and shattered into several pieces, one of which hit my leg. The Yamawarawa bared its teeth at us, its red fur standing on end. Its once black pupils had turned a strange purple. A purple-eyed Yamawarawa. This thing has lived for over 500 years. Hiro cried out from the ground, his already pale face turning a shade of green. I stared in horror at the small creature. Its tail was so short, yet it was over 5 centuries old. The Yamawarawa glared around, its gaze finally landing on the floating Yuki Onna. It let out a sharp shriek and launched itself at her like a cannonball. Only then did I see that the tip of its tail was missing, looking as if it had been chopped off with a sword. The Yuki Onna tried to flee but was caught by the foot. The Yamawarawa swung her around in a blue, icy circle, whipping her through the air a dozen times. Then, grabbing her by the hair, it scrambled up a nearby tree. It climbed dozens of feet to the top, then jumped off, riding the Yuki Onna all the way down. Yuki Onna! Hiro screamed, reaching out his arms. Tiffany was crying in terror. What do we do? If she dies, Hiro will be kicked out of his family. The Yuki Onna was a high-level yokai. The Kumo family must have paid a heavy price to capture her. If she died under Hiro's watch, he would not only lose his status as heir, but also face the wrath and punishment of his family. At this critical moment, I sprinted toward the Yamawarawa, building up speed before leaping high into the air. By the laws of nature and the boundless universe, I command you. A yellow talisman shot from my hand and stuck to the Yamawarawa's forehead. The creature instantly froze, as if its pressure points had been hit, and fell straight from the sky. The newly freed Yuki Onna quickly escaped its grasp, spinning in the air before floating to the side. Hiro stared, his mouth agape. After a long moment, he stammered, Is that the legendary yin-yang demon-breaking talisman?" I ignored him. While the Yamawarawa was on the ground, I took out a small vial and collected half a bottle of the water of life from its head. This creature was like a tank in a video game, immense strength but weak magic resistance. I had been so stunned by its attacks earlier that I hadn't even thought to use a talisman. Hiro was breathing heavily, his eyes fixed on the talisman on the Yamawarawa's head. A fervent light shone in his eyes. Tiffany called his name several times, but he didn't respond. I can't be mistaken. That must be the yin-yang demon-breaking talisman. So the legends were true. When our ancestors learned the Onmyo arts from the Tang dynasty, they only learned a part of it and never got the chance to learn the art of talismans. Tiffany looked embarrassed, avoiding our gaze. She reached out to pull Hiro. Hiro, are you okay? The Yuki Onna's power is too strong. You should recall her before you can't sustain it anymore. Hiro finally snapped out of his daze. He gave us an apologetic smile, then turned and gave the Yuki Onna a look. Poof! The Yuki Onna's body exploded in mid-air, scattering a flurry of snowflakes. What a dramatic exit. I was about to comment when I heard a whoosh. I quickly turned to look. The talisman on the Yamawarawa's forehead was gone. It shot off into the forest like an arrow. With half its water of life gone, the creature's speed was greatly reduced. I was about to give chase when Hiro grabbed my arm. Don't chase it. It's getting late, and the temperature in the mountains will keep dropping. We need to find a place to rest. After recalling the Yuki Onna, Hiro's complexion returned to normal. He frowned, looking in the direction the Yamawarawa had fled, completely baffled. Strange. I remember reading that the yin-yang demon-breaking talisman can suppress evil for 7 days. Why did it only last for 2 or 3 minutes? Hearing this, Tiffany's spirits instantly lifted. See? I told you there's no real Onmyo tradition left in our country. It's obvious. Leah, your 1,000-year-old order has only learned the basics, right? Our country's Onmyo arts have long declined. The most powerful Onmyo school now is the Kumo family. Humph. Maya sneered and winked at me. The Onmyo talisman was taken by that Japanese guy. He did it while we were all watching the Yuki Onna. I understood immediately. Hiro was a shifty character, with his evasive eyes and hooked nose. Those were all signs of a deceitful person. But Tiffany was so annoying that I couldn't be bothered to warn her. Tiffany chattered on like a sparrow the whole way, praising Hiro to the heavens. And it wasn't enough to praise him, she had to put us down too. She was especially critical of the yin-yang demon-breaking talisman. Her mockery and scorn making Chloe's blood boil. Tiffany, if you say one more word, we're not friends anymore. Tiffany seemed to be someone who only responded to confrontation. She jumped up and down in a rage, the veins on her forehead bulging. What's that supposed to mean, Chloe? I kindly invite you all to see a Narayama, and you keep siding with these two fakes. Hiro saved your lives, and you don't even thank him. I think you're the one possessed by a ghost. Fine. Let's not be friends. I don't want to be friends with swindlers anyway. The two of them faced off like fighting roosters. I grabbed Chloe and strode forward. Don't argue with idiots. This made Tiffany even angrier. What did you say? Who are you calling an idiot? The group split up on bad terms, and the atmosphere grew tense. Chloe, Maya, and I picked up our pace, gradually putting distance between us and the other two. After an hour of walking, an orange glow appeared ahead. It was a Japanese-style courtyard, with several elegantly shaped pine trees inside the walls. The style was simple and serene, with a unique charm. We knocked on the gate, and after a moment it opened. A middle-aged woman in a kimono looked at us in surprise. This woman was incredibly tall. She had to be close to 6'6". The three of us craned our necks to look at her. On such a cold day, she was wearing a magenta kimono. Her hair wasn't tied up but fell smoothly over her shoulders. Her face was very pale, with a small dab of rouge on her lips, reminiscent of an old-fashioned geisha. May I help you, guests? The woman spoke perfect English. When she heard we were just tourists passing through, she became very welcoming. Her name was Mrs. Sakurai. After her son died, she had been living on this mountain with her grandson. She opened the gate and enthusiastically led us into the house, inviting us to sit and rest before serving us hot tea and snacks. A few minutes later, Tiffany and Hiro arrived. Mrs. Sakurai spoke fluent English. After chatting with us for a while, she said she would go prepare a late-night supper for us. Maya stared intently at a gray-black stone on a bookshelf, her eyes glued to it. I just saw a beetle fly onto that stone, and then it died. I followed her gaze. Sure enough, a dead beetle lay on the light yellow wooden floor. Maya swallowed hard. Lia, that's a killing stone, right? It has to be. Legend has it that the killing stone was formed from the body of Emperor Toba's favorite consort, Tamamo no Mae. Her true form was a nine-tailed fox. After being exposed by a master on Myoji, she fled to the plains of Nasu, where she was eventually cornered and killed by an army of tens of thousands and hundreds of Onmyoji. After her death, her ambition and obsession transformed into the Killing Stone, where she still waits for her chance at revenge. The Killing Stone is highly toxic. Insects and birds that touch it die instantly, and even humans are not immune. During the reign of a later emperor, a high priest shattered the Killing Stone with his staff, finally destroying Tamamo no Mae. The fragments of the stone scattered across Japan, and some were collected by temples as sacred objects. The Killing Stone in this house was only about the size of a palm. Maya bit her lip, her expression conflicted. Lia, do you think taking something from a Japanese person counts as stealing? I looked at her sternly. Mrs. Sakurai had kindly invited us into her home, and Maya was already thinking of stealing from her. This woman truly had no shame. Legend says that after Daoji was defeated in ancient times, her true form attached to her 9 tails. 8 of them escaped to the corners of the earth, while only 1 was destroyed by Jiangxia. And Tamamo no Mae was formed from one of Daoji's tails. So, strictly speaking, this Killing Stone should be considered our country's property. Maya's face lit up. She picked up her teacup and drained it in one gulp. Hiro, sitting opposite us, kept sneaking glances at us. I pretended not to notice and continued to whisper with Maya and Chloe. A moment later, Hiro sat down in front of me with a sincere expression. I have studied the Onmyo arts extensively. I believe we need to discuss the issue with your talisman. I raised an eyebrow but didn't respond. Hiro forced a sincere smile. You must have other talismans on you, right? They might all have the same problem. I can help you find the source of the issue. Chloe sneered. Well, isn't this something? The smaller the place, the bigger the ego. A minute ago, you were saying talismans never made it to Japan. Now you can help people find problems with them. Besides, we don't even know if there's a problem with the demon-breaking talisman in the first place. Before Hiro could say anything, Tiffany jumped up. Chloe, what are you talking about? Hiro is just trying to be nice. Japan's Onmyo arts have been passed down for 1,000 years. They're much more advanced than yours. He's kindly offering to guide you, and you're ungrateful. Maya gave me a look and secretly pushed Chloe from behind. Chloe stumbled forward, crashing into Tiffany and knocking over the table. I leaped up and glared at Hero. So, you dare to hit someone? I'm gonna kill you. Tiffany shrieked as Chloe fell on top of her. Maya held me back, pretending to try and break up the fight. Stop it, both of you, stop fighting. I struggled fiercely. In the scuffle, I accidentally swept my arm out, and the gray-black killing stone rolled onto the floor. I blocked everyone's view while Maya quickly knelt, pocketed the stone, and replaced it with a fake from her bag. Chloe pretended to be weak, falling back onto Tiffany every time she tried to get up. Wow. The floors in Japan are so slippery. I can't get up, I just can't. Hiro stared at the scene dumbfounded. After a moment, he finally reacted and rushed forward to pull Chloe and Tiffany apart. By the time Mrs. Sakurai returned with the food, the living room was quiet again. She glanced at us without a word, a polite smile still on her face. Please eat and then rest. It's getting very late. I secretly glanced at the killing stone on the bookshelf. I couldn't believe my eyes. Wasn't that the black truffle bread from the party? The fact that Maya could gnaw it into a shape that was 80% similar to the killing stone was a talent in itself. Feeling guilty, the three of us wolfed down our food and fled back to our room. Creak. Not long after we turned off the lights, the door creaked open. I was sleeping closest to the door, and immediately saw Mrs. Sakurai's unusually tall figure. Her hair was down as she slowly approached, bringing a gust of wind and snow into the room. Her steps were incredibly light. If you closed your eyes, you could barely hear a thing. After a few steps, she crouched down and started crawling on the floor like a dog. Chloe, on my left, squeezed my hand hard under the blanket. I patted her hand to tell her to stay calm. Heavy snow was falling outside, turning the world white. Even without lights, the room was bright enough for us to see Mrs. Sakurai clearly. She crawled over to my side and just stared at me. After a full minute, she suddenly gave a grotesque smile. I squinted, watching through the slits of my eyes as her mouth stretched wider and wider. It started as a smile, then an eight-toothed grin. Then her mouth stretched like the Joker's in a movie, all the way to her ears. Eventually, her face disappeared, leaving only a massive, gaping maw. A long, greenish tongue snaked out of her mouth, slowly approaching my nose and mouth. Don't steal my chicken leg. I mumbled in my sleep and rolled over. Turning my face toward Chloe, my hand swept out and hit Mrs. Sakurai, who shot up the wall like a gecko. Her hands stuck to the wall like suction cups as she crawled from above my head to above Maya's. Clinging to the ceiling like an octopus, Mrs. Sakurai once again extended her tongue toward Maya. This roast duck is delicious. Maya mumbled in her sleep and rolled over, facing Chloe, who was sleeping between us. Now Chloe was the target, and she had nowhere to turn. We were pressed up against her, leaving no room for her to move. Under the covers, Chloe's hand viciously pinched my thigh. I gritted my teeth and held back a yelp, but Maya let out a hiss. Just as I was about to jump up and fight Mrs. Sakurai, the door opened again. Mrs. Sakurai shot into the corner like a monkey, hiding behind the hanging curtains. The newcomer was another familiar face, Hiro. He tiptoed to the coat rack in the corner, where our bags and clothes were hanging. He was here to steal the talismans. Too bad for him, we always kept them on our person. Hiro rummaged for a while and found nothing. He then turned his attention to me, sleeping on the outside. He carefully approached, and just as he was about to lift my blanket, I pretended to be dreaming and tossed the cloth pouch I was holding to the foot of Maya's bed. Hiro was overjoyed. He walked around me to Maya's side, preparing to pick up the pouch. Just as he bent down, Maya kicked him hard. Hiro stumbled, ripped down the curtain, and fell right into the arms of the towering Mrs. Sakurai. The room instantly descended into chaos. Hiro ran out of the room barefoot, with Mrs. Sakurai close behind. The three of us chased after them. Tiffany, woken by the noise, also ran out of her room. We all stood in the snow-covered courtyard, staring at each other. Mrs. Sakurai's terrifying appearance horrified Tiffany. She let out a whimper and fainted into Hiro's arms. Chloe spat on the ground. Stop whimpering. Why don't you ask Hiro why he was coming out of our room? Tiffany froze. Hiro looked righteous. I sensed something was wrong with Mrs. Sakurai earlier. Sure enough, she turned into a demon and entered their room tonight. This wasn't the time to argue with Hiro. My knowledge of Japanese demons was limited. I couldn't yet identify what Mrs. Sakurai was. I'll deal with you later. Let's handle this demon first. Hiro might be a bad person, but he wasn't stupid. He nodded, took a stance to summon his Yuki-onna, but Mrs. Sakurai just giggled, covering her mouth. These three have more than just talismans on them. That little one has a book called The Art of Stargazing in her pocket. At the mention of the art of stargazing, Hiro's breathing became noticeably ragged. Mrs. Sakurai's voice was hoarse, but her words were more enchanting than a siren's song. You help me kill them. I only want the people. The items are yours. Maya looked at Hiro speechless. You're not actually going to believe this demon, are you? I'm a stargazer. I don't need to read a book. Mrs. Sakurai upped the ante. I saw the cover of the book. It was written by someone named Yuan Tiangang. At the name Yuan Tiangang, Hiro's eyes turned red with excitement. He bit the middle fingers of both hands and quickly formed several seals in the air. In less than 3 seconds, the Yuki-onna appeared. Amidst the swirling snow, she looked even more stunning than before. The icy weather greatly enhanced her demonic power. Tiffany looked at Mrs. Sakurai with contempt. She snorted and lifted her chin. A mere demon trying to sow discord? My dear Hiro is an onmyoji. Why would he conspire with a creature like you to harm people? Yuki-onna, go kill this demon. Hiro smiled. He nodded at the Yuki-onna. Yuki-onna, go. Tiffany grew even more smug. She put her hands on her hips and looked at Chloe with her head held high. Just watch, Chloe. Japan's onmyoji are the most powerful. The Yuki-onna floated in the air, and with a flick of her hands, dozens of ice shards shot toward us. The Yuki-onna will definitely destroy this demo. The rest of Tiffany's sentence caught in her throat. She looked at Hiro in disbelief. Hiro, the Yuki-onna has betrayed us. This idiot. Betrayed my ass. Get out of the way. Tiffany fell to the ground, her face pale as she stared at the ice shard by her feet. If Chloe hadn't pushed her out of the way just in time, that shard would have pierced her stomach. This is impossible. Hiro loves me most. It's the Yuki-onna. It must be the... Tiffany couldn't finish her sentence, because Hiro had already drawn a blade, and was charging toward me. I sneered and met his charge. Today, I'll let you little Japanese upstarts know that your ancestors will always be your ancestors. Maya brandished her thunder summoning command token and fought the Yuki-onna. Chloe was being chased all over the courtyard by Mrs. Sakurai. And as for Hiro, he was getting completely dominated by me. Great heavenly dragon. Dog-beating staff technique. This Hiro kid was full of tricks. He could summon his Shikigami instantly, but he pretended it took a long time to charge up. And he was a trained fighter, yet he acted weak and feeble. But he had miscalculated. Our badassery was beyond his imagination. I chuckled and quickened my attacks. The sooner I crippled this guy, the sooner I could help Chloe. Thump! Hiro fell heavily to the ground. I walked toward him with a menacing grin, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw a black figure rushing toward me. Bang! I was knocked several feet away by the black figure, rolling twice on the ground before I stopped. This thing, wasn't it the Yamawarawa that ran away earlier? Seeing its bared teeth, I had a sudden realization. Chloe, Mrs. Sakurai is a Yamamba. A Yamamba, also known as a mountain mother or mountain hag, is a monster that lives deep in the mountains. They live with Yamawarawa, and are known to lure travelers into their homes and eat them. The most terrifying thing about a Yamamba is her ability to read minds and see a person's deepest thoughts. No wonder Mrs. Sakurai could so easily manipulate Hiro. Like the Yamawarawa, the Yamamba has a weak spot. The Yamawarawa's is the water of life on its head. The Yamamba's is her long hair. Her hair is her source of power. The shorter it is, the weaker she becomes. And since the Yamamba is an entity of the wood element, which is vulnerable to metal, she, like the Yamawarawa, is terrified of metal weapons. Chloe immediately switched from her peachwood sword to a dagger. With the change in weapon, she finally gained the upper hand. She had the advantage, but I had gone from a 1-on-1 to a 1-on-2. Even with half its water of life gone, the Yamawarawa was still incredibly strong. I was tied up with the creature and couldn't deal with Hiro. He lay on the ground for a moment, then gritted his teeth, sat up, and walked over to Tiffany, holding a knife to her throat. Everyone stop, or I'll kill her. We were all stunned. Threatening us with his own girlfriend? What kind of logic was that? You two hand over your secret manuals, or I'll slit her throat right now. You're all from the same country. You wouldn't just watch her die, would you? Chloe had by now cut off half of Mrs. Sakurai's hair. She glared at Hiro in frustration. I've already ended my friendship with Tiffany. Her life has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Tiffany gave a bitter smile and closed her eyes. Chloe, I was blind. I'm sorry. I gave her a serious look and nodded in agreement. A person's words are kind when they're about to die. You can go in peace. I'll definitely avenge you. Hiro was dumbfounded. Aren't you supposed to be the good guys? You just let her die. Maya burst out laughing. When in Rome, what you're talking about is our custom back home. Here, we learn from you. Let me tell you something, 5 Thunder Command. As she spoke, Maya suddenly spun and delivered a heavy blow to the Yuki-onna. Lightning is the bane of all demons, and the Yuki-onna was formed from ice. Her greatest weakness was conductivity. The moment the Thunder Command hit her, I rushed forward and slapped a talisman from the bottom of my stash on her. By sacred command, as the sun rises in the east, let the Samadhi fire burn, boundless and vast. The Yuki-onna was instantly engulfed in flames, the fire lighting up the entire courtyard. Hiro screamed and fell to his knees, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. The Yamawarawa and Yamamba, both fearing fire, were frozen in place by the light. I took the opportunity to pour out the rest of the Yamawarawa's water of life. The Yamamba had been given a buzz cut by Chloe. She transformed from a still attractive middle-aged woman into a decrepit, 100-year-old crone. Hiro looked at the disappearing Yuki-onna in despair, his eyes bloodshot. It's over. I'm finished. It's all over. Deprived of their life sources, the Yamawarawa and Yamamba withered and became 2 gnarled, root-like sculptures on the ground. We surrounded Hiro. He suddenly knelt before Tiffany, tears streaming down his face. I've wronged you, but I do love you. I was bewitched by the Yamamba. It was all my fault. Tiffany was both furious and hurt. She opened her mouth to speak, but Hiro suddenly picked her up and threw her at us. We were knocked off balance by the impact. In that split second, a thick smoke enveloped Hiro. A gust of wind blew, and he vanished along with the smoke. That guy had 2 shikigami. The Kumo family was extremely powerful in Japan. By killing the Yuki-onna, we had made a serious enemy. With Hiro gone, we didn't linger. We quickly packed our things and hurried down the mountain. If he got back to his family first, we might not be able to leave the country. For us, it was just another day. But for Tiffany, it was a complete transformation. She went from a Japan-loving sycophant to a radical nationalist. The snow made the path down the mountain wet, slippery, and difficult to walk. We thought Tiffany would slow us down, but she took off like a rocket, leaving us in the dust. Every so often, she would stop and look back at us, her expression one of disappointment. How much longer will you linger on this filthy land? Listen, that is the call of our motherland. Arise, you who are freezing and downtrodden. I was cold, tired, hungry, and sleepy. I really couldn't go any faster. After her speech, Tiffany, full of adrenaline, turned and ran ahead. Ah, motherland. We're coming home. Yendi,